So you're reading through your textbook, you're doing great, you're factoring everything perfectly, you're checking your work at the end, it's working out awesome. And then all of a sudden you get, hey, factor this, hey, factor this, hey, factor this. And then you get a problem that pops up and says, factor this one completely. What do you mean completely? That's what I thought I was doing, right? Yes, you were in polynomials written like this. But there's a big difference between this trinomial and this trinomial. And all it is one extra step that needs to be done. So pay attention and I'll show you the difference between factoring something and when you're asked to factor it completely. Oftentimes when you see it say factor completely, it's a hint. The book or the question is telling you, hey, there's an extra step that you need to do at the very start of this before you begin. Okay? I look at 10, 31, and 14, and they don't have a common factor right away. Those numbers do not have a common factor. They can't all be divided by the same number and end up with a whole quotient at the end. But here, 18, 33, and 12 might not be the most obvious one. It might not pop up to you right away. But if the question says completely, you should think first, is there a number that all three of these are divisible by? And there is. They are all divisible by a 3. 18 can be divided by 3 to make a 6. 33 can be divided by 3 to make an 11, and 12 can be divided by 3 to make a 4. So because we can divide all three of those terms by the same number and end up with a whole number result, we need to do that first. That is our step number 1 in factoring this out completely. So ignore this one, go through the steps that I explained on the previous video, but on this problem, step 1 is factor out the GCF. And that would be 3 goes on the outside. You'd have a 6x squared. You'd have a negative 11x. And you'd have a positive 4. So give you a second just to take all that in. 3 times 6x squared would make 18x squared. 3 times negative 11x would make negative 33x. And 3 times 4 would make my 12. So that's step 1. Now, treat this problem like this. Cover up that GCF and go through every step that I've explained in the previous videos when factoring out this type of a problem. All right, so I have 6 times 4. Why am I multiplying 6 times 4? Multiply A times C. Step number 1. A times C is going to give me 24. 6 times 4 makes 24. List out my factors of 24. Okay? We got 1 times 24. We got 2 times 12. We got 3 times 8. We got 4 times 6. That's all of them. I'm now hoping that 2 of those are going to add together and sum up to make my negative 11. We have an issue here. We are dealing with one of the problems where B is negative. So the change I need to do with these factors, the only way I can add these together and get a negative 11, but a positive C, is if both of them are negative. Hopefully you remember that in previous videos. So if I just make each one of these negatives, I'm good. Okay. Add those together, hoping one of them adds up to make a negative 11. Nope, not going to be that. Nope, that would make negative 14. That's going to make a negative 11. I'm happy. And negative 10. So scratch that. We are dealing with these two numbers right here. We're going to use negative 3 and negative 8. So I go over here. I'm going to keep this 3 on the outside. That gets brought down. 3 times. Now I'm going to write everything here out, factored out with negative 3 and negative 8 written down as my B. So 6x squared, nothing changes. Negative 3x. Negative 8x. And positive 4. Stop real quick for a second just to make sure you understand all that. All I did here is I wrote the B down as 2 parts. My 2 factors that I found that would add together to make that negative 11. All right, it is now time for me to break these up into binomials. I'm going to pull the GCF out of each one of these while keeping 3 along for the entire ride. 3 just hangs out. Do that at the very start. Pull the GCF out here when asked to do it completely, and then keep that GCF on the outside till the very, very end. All right, 6x squared and negative 3x. 3x would be my GCF there. So 3x times what would make 6x squared? That's 2x. 3x times a negative 1 would make the negative 3x. Keep all of this. You're going to have 3 sets of parentheses here. So I have the big outside parentheses that are going to stay around everything. What should come along for the ride? Oh yeah, that 3 comes straight down. It's going to stay there. Now, what's the GCF of negative 8x and 4? Well, I'm going to get a 2... Oh, excuse me, no. My GCF between 8x and 4 is 4 plus 4. I lied. Minus 4. This parenthesis here should have gone right there. Okay. Thank you for hanging out with me. Negative 4 is my GCF times a 2x and a negative 1. Negative 4 times 2x makes 8x. Negative 4 times negative 1 makes positive 4. I have my twins here and here. That is a great sign. Things are good. I'm going to bring 3x and negative 4 down as one of my binomials. My other binomial is going to be my twins. So I'm going to write 2x minus 1 times 3x minus 4. Remember, that comes from my GCFs, greatest common factors. The only difference to this problem was, what did we do at the very beginning? Remember when we pulled 3 out as the GCF at the start? That's going to be multiplied by everything. Okay, so your big takeaway here is you're not doing anything differently. You're still treating this problem right here like we did with any other ax squared plus bx plus c problem. But the thing different when we're asked to do something completely is these 3 will have a common factor at the very start. And you want to pull that out and then work through everything else the same exact steps as you did on the previous videos. Okay, hopefully you watched this video last when coming to factoring this, because that is one of the last things that we will teach. So you want to learn how to factor a normal one first, where there's no common factor at the start. And then once you get there, there's just that one extra step added on. All right, hopefully you don't overthink it. I hope this video helps. I know that this is a lot of steps that are going along with this, but just stick to it, stick with the practice. Check your work at the back of the book to make sure you're doing it right, and you guys should be good to go. Good luck on your upcoming test.